Hi, I'm Rosenberg. Welcome to my latest YouTube video and podcast. I'm going to talk about this moment of time last week where my mind was just blown. Boom. Everything that I understood about happiness, the importance of it, and the fact that it has been such an important goal of mine was just blown out of the water. It was nullified, neutralized, just by one article. The name of this article is Butterflies Beyond Our Grasp: The Pursuit of Happiness, and it's by Janine Waters. In this article, she talks about the hedonistic paradox, or otherwise known as the happiness paradox. And it basically says that if you pursue happiness, if happiness is your goal, you are going to ruin the experience. You're going to neutralize the experience. You're going to stop it, and you're going to make sure it doesn't happen. Wow, right? If you try to be happy, you try to seek happiness, you screw it up. Sounds interesting, doesn't it? Let me provide a few quotes. Anyone who has looked forward to special days like birthdays, vacations, holidays, knows these anticipated delights can sometimes come with a letdown. The happiness, pleasure, and fun we expect, it doesn't measure up to reality. This phenomenon has a name: the paradox of hedonism, or sometimes the paradox of happiness. It's a strange but persistent observation that pleasure often vanishes when you try to pursue it directly. Simply put, if you try too hard at happiness, the result is unhappiness. Wow, huh? If you try too hard at happiness, the result is unhappiness. Well, let me explain, because it now makes a lot of sense, and hopefully it will make a lot of sense to you and will help you reorganize your goals in life, especially if one is to achieve happiness. If you are seeking happiness, what you are doing is you are seeking the result, the consequence of an activity, of an event, of a relationship that cannot occur by wanting it to happen. Happiness occurs because you are in the flow of the event. You are in the flow of the relationship. You are participating. You are at peace with what you are doing. And then later, when you think about it, then it becomes obvious that you are happy. Happiness is not something you experience. It's a phenomenon that comes to you in recollection. It is the evaluation of an emotional state, of a relational state, of an event that can only occur when you are in sync with your emotions. You are present. You are calm. You are completely invested in whatever you're doing, who you are with, and you are enjoying it. Let me read you a meme that I wrote that is based upon this article. Stop chasing happiness. The more you chase it, the more it will slip away. It lives in the journey, not the destination. The joy you seek will quietly emerge as you build a life you love. This is really about self-love, the pursuit of self-love abundance. If you are an SLD, or what I call someone with self-love deficit disorder, commonly known as codependent, then you know that your life is stained by the curse of self-love deficits, deficiency, shame, and loneliness. You survive on the crumbs. You mistake a pile of breadcrumbs for a piece of bread. That your happiness, as you understand it, is really a situation that is void of pain. In other words, if you're an SLD or codependent, the pursuit of happiness really is more about making the pain go away, making people that are not nice to you be nice to you, somehow changing the environment, the relationships, the situations that you are always fighting to somehow control, somehow keep from causing you a lot of pain or suffering. So if you can figure out a way to stop the narcissist, to make the narcissist be nice to you, to make an event that you plan to be enjoyable and get the love, the passion, the romance, that is the happiness that the SLD seeks. And that is as paradoxical as is the happiness paradox. But it's paradoxical in a different way, because you are seeking happiness from a person who is unable to take care of you, to love you, respect you, care for you, trust you, and protect you. You are seeking happiness and joy from someone who's not invested in your best interest, who can only see the world in terms of what is good for them. What does the world have to do? What do you have to do? What do you have to stop doing? If you can figure out that unbelievably difficult problem to solve, there is happiness. But it doesn't happen if you're an SLD. You can't be happiness if your day-to-day is unhappy, is sad, is stressful. You can't feel happiness if you are being gaslit to be something worse than you really are, something broken, when maybe you're just troubled or you're suffering from some psychological or mental health issues. So to want to be happy and to be an SLD, that in itself is paradoxical. It's impossible. The best an SLD can do is to compartmentalize. It's the going for the breadcrumbs and mistaking them for the piece of bread. It's the reducing everything into solvable problems with the hopes that if you can get ahead of them, you'll be happy. Plus, in addition, pathological narcissists don't want their partner, their lover, their wife, their spouse. They don't want them to be happy because they lose control. Now remember that. If you feel stuck in painful relationship patterns, you're not alone. I've already helped thousands break free from what I call self-love deficit disorder and how to finally choose self-love over the insanity you create for yourselves. Work with me. My psychotherapy can help. Your happiness, your joy is threatening to a pathological narcissist. Self-love deficit disorder maintains this hamster on a wheel-like experience where you keep running and running and running with hopes that you're finally going to be happy, you're finally going to get joy, you're finally going to be relieved, and you're finally going to experience love. But you never get past your broken self and the narcissist that needs you to be that. Back to the happiness paradox. Let me read you some more from this wonderful article. When people explicitly try to achieve happiness, it's also the case that they experience activities, events, or interactions as means to an emotional end, rather than enjoyment of those things. The author is absolutely right. When happiness is the goal, and everything you do is a means to that goal, a means to an end, and you're in a situation that is likely not to give you the joy, the satisfaction, the feelings of contentment, but you desperately want to be happy, you are going to work really hard to make this situation, this person, bring you a state of happiness when it can't. There's no situation, there is no person can do that. It comes from the way you live your life. When you live your life with self-love deficit disorder, everything is impacted by this dark, negative, pessimistic worldview. You are trying to avoid the pain in order to get what you believe is the payoff, the happiness. Maybe you're trying to recreate that magnificent moment when you just met the narcissist, and that's called limerence. When you were in love, you couldn't sleep, you didn't want to eat, all you can do was think about that person. When you were with that narcissist, there was joy. It was magnificent, right out of a motion picture, right out of a song. Well, that is the experience of what happens when a narcissist and an SLD or a codependent meet. That moment of what Dorothy Tenoff calls limerence, it's almost a drug-like experience that is very, very human. All humans go through this when they meet someone and they fall in love. The difference between the limerence of an SLD and the limerence of, say, someone with decent mental health is the SLD is delivered out of loneliness, painful shame, out of self-doubt. Then they become enveloped in this beautiful, wonderful, indescribable feeling of happiness. Well, that's not happiness. It's a mirage. You know, you think of someone that is in the desert and they're dying of thirst, and they look out and they see water, they see an oasis, but it's a mirage. The brain is tricking them to see what it needs most. Well, that type of mirage, that mirage of happiness, it doesn't really exist. It's similar to the happiness paradox. You can't be happy when you're in a relationship that survives on needing everything and all from you. So being happy, that is absolutely what I want everyone who's listening or watching. But if you're going about it the wrong way, then it's important for me to warn you that you're setting yourself up for constant, chronic disappointment. If you're an SLD, then you know this. People who have good mental health know that happiness comes from the way they live their life. It happens when things ensue. Remember that word? Let me read you more of this article. As a Brazilian novelist, and I cannot pronounce this, João Guimarães Rosa wrote, happiness is found only in little moments of inattention. Or as a philosopher, Henry Sidgwick wrote, to attain pleasure, we must to some extent put it out of sight and not directly aim at it. Quote, happiness is something that generally tends to creep up on us when we're not thinking about it, according to George Lowenstein, a professor of economics. When we focus on being happy and we start measuring our happiness, it's a form of self-consciousness that is self-defeating. This is going to be way off there, but if there are some astrophysicists listening or watching, there's this idea that if you observe an electron, it changes its shape. That an electron has certain physical properties, but if you put a camera to it, or somehow you are actively observing it, it will be different from what you see. Now, this is about quantum physics that is way over my pay grade, way over my intellectual abilities. But it's interesting because I thought about that. Wow, that's kind of weird. If you look at something, it changes shape. Well, then let's use quantum physics as another analogy for this happiness paradox. When you are wanting to experience it and you want to feel it, you directly destroy the experience, you change the shape of it, and it becomes something else. Going back to what George Lowenstein said, it's a form of self-consciousness that is self-defeating. As a psychotherapist, my goal is to increase self-consciousness, is to increase self-esteem, to help heal the roadblocks, the potholes responsible for the cause of self-love deficit disorder. My treatment program, my self-love recovery program, it purposefully and with direction and logic goes in the direction of solving, overcoming, neutralizing all of the reasons that are responsible for this pervasive feeling of self-love deficiency, self-hate, self-doubt. And if we use this paradox, it also applies to the way that I do therapy. I don't promise people to be self-love abundant, and that's what we do is we work on loving oneself and taking care of oneself. That works, but it's superficial. It's only temporary. The way to solve self-love deficit disorder is to learn about what you do day in and day out, what you think about, how your emotions center around these relationships in which you are diminished, minimized, pushed down, controlled, abused. And with this delusional hope for it to change or to get better, and with the hope of happiness. So to solve SLDD, analogous to understanding the happiness paradox, is we can't focus on its opposite, self-love abundance. We got to focus on the experience of healing the reasons that cause it so that you can move into a life and build a life, develop a life that makes a person happy, self-love abundant. So then you can look backwards and say, in the last week, I think I've been happy. In the last week, I think I love myself. It therefore is not a goal that I help my clients pursue. It's about living your life with love, respect, care, trust, and protection. Yourself. I based one of my memes on Gandhi's saying, and it is, to get the love that you dream of from others, you have to first have it for yourself. So back to the happiness paradox, more of the article. Boy, do I love this article. Happiness is very much a matter of expectations, not a matter of the objective experience someone has. Finally, the paradox may be a byproduct of the nature of happiness and pleasure itself. One interpretation of pleasure is that it is brought about by the satisfaction of our desires. We feel happy when we want something and then we get it. But therein lies the problem. Pleasure comes from satisfying a desire. You need to desire something other than pleasure in order to get it. If the only thing you want is pleasure itself, then you're stuck in a vicious cycle. You need to want other things and get those desires satisfied, and then you feel pleasure. It is like that hamster wheel for the codependent, I said. You are desperately pursuing this for the sake of happiness and not being present in the activity, the experience that actually is how you're going to feel happy. It's not that wanting to be happy is a bad thing. No, quite the contrary. Wanting to be happy is a good thing. It's something I wish for all of you. It's something I wish for myself. But the way that we go about trying to achieve it, well, we're ruining it for ourselves if we are missing the vital ingredient, and that is to live life with joy, peace, and harmony with yourself and your emotions. It's kind of funny. Well, I guess funny is not the right word, but it's certainly interesting how the United States, the Declaration of Independence, sets forward this delusion of happiness. In it, it says, happiness is an unalienable right. The happiness of society is the first law of government, said the American founding fathers, James Wilson. Well, they had it right for the most part, but we can't be happy just because it's our right. The government can't make us happy. Our family can't make us happy. We have to live a life that is conducive to wanting to feel good, to feel in step with ourselves. And that, for someone who's self-love deficient, is to find peace and joy in a world that is not beaten down by another narcissist, is to learn how to love yourself and to take care of yourself and learn how to be a part of a community of friends without the need to have the romantic love, the opiate codeine-like effect of romantic love to take your pain away. The authors of this article also explain that when we try to reverse our emotions and we believe that is going to be our goal, that will make things better. If we're unhappy, we try to be happy. If we're lonely, we try to feel connected to others. If we're mad, insecure, we try to flip the emotion. Well, that in itself is another paradox, because flipping an emotion and having that be your goal, it doesn't really get you to where you need to be. Again, that emotion is a result of how you're living. It's a result of the consequences of your living. So if you're trying to flip them or avoid them, you end up creating an emptiness where there is really not happiness or self-love, but it's the frantic efforts to not have these negative experiences anymore. Well, that changes by the way you live your life. It doesn't change by the way you think. It doesn't change by how you want to transform a bad emotion into a good emotion. It seems so simple, but it's very difficult. To be happy, we have to learn how to feel one with ourselves, to feel whole in our skin, to be in a relationship as someone who is desperately in need of something, but wants to contribute to this relationship while maintaining their identity. As I started off this podcast, this YouTube video, I mentioned my meme. Well, here's a meme that was included in this article. Don't waste your time chasing butterflies. Mend your garden and the butterflies will come. That's it. Be whole and complete in your life. If your life is not working for you, if there's something that keeps bringing you pain, the hope for no pain and the hope for happiness, the hope for resolution will completely and consistently disappoint you. Heal from the problems that are keeping you from living consistently with an open and whole heart, with self-love. If your garden is filled with weeds and the dirt, the earth needs to be fertilized and it's not getting enough sun, well, don't complain why you don't have flowers. You got to do something about the garden. Because if you want flowers, analogous to happiness, take care of the garden. Take care of yourself. Love yourself. Set up reasonable expectations for goals you can obtain. Let yourself experience happiness because of how well you live your life and how well you love yourself. Don't fall prey to the happiness paradox. You deserve to be happy. You can build your life and mend your garden. I know you can, and I believe you can. Information about the article will be listed below the video and will be included in the notes for the podcast. Thank you once again. If you'd like to know more about my self-love recovery treatment program, my books, or the educational resources that I have, please go to selfloverecovery.com. You might find something that will change your life and help you. And if I can be a part of that and be a partner of that, I'd be honored. If you need information or have questions, just shoot me an email at help@selfloverecovery.com. Be well and take care. If you feel stuck in painful relationship patterns, you're not alone. I've already helped thousands break free from what I call self-love deficit disorder and how to finally choose self-love over the insanity you create for yourselves. Work with me. My psychotherapy can help.